Welcome along to our second live, and just bear with me a little bit tonight. I was going to cancel it. I've come down with a massive headache and chest cramps and stuff like that. I don't know what it is, a virus or something, but anyway, the show goes on, and suck it up, princess. So I don't really have, tonight's just more questions and answers. We normally sometimes have a few topics to talk about, but we haven't really been getting out much. The trade winds have arrived, and they're very relentless early on. And if you look on the charts, you'll notice that there's just a massive band of highs all the way over to South Africa. So we're not really going to see any relief anytime soon on the east coast here, and we're getting so many lows developing down near Sydney and all that area there. That's what they're getting all the rain from. It's holding up the highs, and the isobars are coming over the top, and we're just constantly getting pounded up here, and it's just slowing their movement up. So yeah, there's joy on the fishing out wide up here at the moment for anybody, and might not be for some time, and hopefully it's not as bad as last year.
Can everyone hear us?
Yeah, I imagine everyone can hear us. We always ask that, but everyone can. If you can't hear, guys, maybe just make sure your volume's up on your phone. So yeah, but anyway, the only thing we've done this week is, apart from sitting in the office, editing courses and carrying on, is we managed to get out and help out the guys from the Cairns area restocking group. It was great to see a whole bunch of kids come along and get interested in the tagging, and we were hanging onto the fish and letting them put the tags in and all that sort of thing. So that was pretty cool to see them come along and do that and get them all involved. And these guys do a wonderful job. They don't get any funding from the SIP scheme, the Stocked Impoundment Permit Scheme, because they do saltwater only. So they rely on donations from council and that. And as I mentioned on a post the other day, if there's any businesses that really want to help out, or individuals and that, you can get them at the Cairns area fish stocking group on their Facebook page. Contact them there if you'd like to make a donation to help these guys out, because all the fish that they release have to be grown out bigger, because they end up in the salt, and they're the ones that end up as breeders. Not knocking the stocked impoundments, so of course they're good as well, because they take a lot of the pressure off the saltwater fishery as well, because there's so many people fishing them. So that's about all we've really done. We haven't really been anywhere or doing anything much at all.
Just
So
making our coral trout course.
just making the coral trout course and
dealing with support for the sale.
yeah, for the sale last week. And we've done it again. This is our second big sale. It's our 10th year. We had the big sale in February, and we decided to do some pretty crazy prices again for this launch just gone. And just like the last one, we've had a lot of people come in late, and especially fly in, fly out workers. And so yeah, we've left the cart open for another week, and that closes Tuesday night, midnight. But that'll be it. There won't be any more Barra Basics under $1,000 ever, because I don't think we're going to make it to 20 years. So if you really want to jump on, we know people are doing it tough, but hey, we can't keep doing this. So all the sale prices will be back to normal come July and our October sale.
Come Tuesday.
And Tuesday things will go back to normal. Tuesday night it closes, yeah. So we got any questions there? Well, we might start with that. So apologies, I don't have any presentations on anything, but it's
Ryan, Jeff Camelman on Instagram says, I've been struggling to identify freshwater crocs on my sounder. Fishing a remote creek, Western Australia, heaps of barra, but heaps of freshies as well.
Because they're only a smaller crocodile, you might find that it could be something to do with your scale, and it could be something to do with the frequencies you have as well on your side image. I take it you're looking for them on side image or down image, most likely side image. Even when I have marked up some big ones on side image. They do show up relatively smallish, and there's a range of scenarios that can come into play, like your range, your boat speed, the frequency that you're running, and all that sort of stuff. We do have a really good example of a crocodile. I think it might be in our Sounder Skills 2 sales page, I'm not sure, of what a croc looks like when everything is right, when you have got the right frequency, your right range, and tuned it right, and taken out all the silt in the water and all that sort of stuff. And that's another thing too, if you're in big tide areas and you got lots of silt running or current, that can cause some issues as well on the clarity of your returns. So it could be a number of things, mate. That's all in Sounder Skills 2, but if you have a look at the things I've mentioned, you're going to probably want your highest frequency, and I don't know what unit you've got and all that, but they're the things that come into play to get a really good picture.
Sweeter has asked, when's the mud crabbing course coming out?
I've just finished a couple of the modules, the concept videos, but we're probably going to plan to launch that one maybe in October. It'll probably be ready before October, I don't know yet, but
it just depends.
It just depends.
Things keep coming up. Either shoulder operation didn't go right, then we've had a death in the family, then
well, yeah, life gets in the road.
So many things.
It doesn't matter who you are or how bulletproof you think you are, life gets in the road of things, and we all know that, you know, these sort of things hold us.
Computer issues, car issues, it's
So coral trout's due for July. I don't think mud crab will be ready by then, so we'll probably do it in the October launch, I'd say, mate. Yeah.
But what we might do is we will need demo tests for both of the courses, so we might run competitions.
Yeah, that's an idea.
Just so that
we might run a couple of competitions and get a couple of winners there to act as beta testers for us, so you get the course for free, and you get to watch it.
Pick up all the mistakes, spelling mistakes, and anything confusing, and
just see how it pans out and all that. So that'll be down the track though. We'll announce a competition.
We'll announce that a couple of weeks before. Once we've got it ready to go.
Yeah.
Oh, happy Mother's Day, Karen. Hope you had a great day. Thank you.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. We had Interflora screw up our flowers sending to our mothers today, but
no, your mum got hers, did they?
yeah, she said she did get them, but
my mum didn't.
Yeah, I thought that email was for me. Mine was there too. It said that there was none in Townsville. I got an email as well.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, saying that there's no orders left available in Townsville. Anyway. Oh, sorry if you can't hear me. Just check the volumes on your phone. We're not outside now as well, so we're inside, so hopefully it's a better volume.
Anthony Dillon said, thanks so much for coming down on the weekend. That was for the restocking.
Yeah, thanks mate. Thanks for inviting us.
Again next week.
Yeah, no, it's in May, I think.
Oh, sorry.
Just let us know, Anthony. Just message us through there, and I think it's
we'll put it on our page.
10th, 11th of May at behind the PCYC.
And bring your little kids down, because once they're tagged, they get the kids to release them, and it's adorable.
Well, we actually were letting the kids put the tags in and pulling the trigger and all that, and they got a good kick out of that. So, yeah.
Newman said, when are we going to make Fisherman Wants a Wife?
Fisherman Wants a Wife? Nah. I'm not into reality television, sorry. Pardon me.
Angus said, thoughts on using the massive 11-inch plastics for barra?
Elephants eat peanuts on certain days. I have found certain times when the fish are active and everything like that, yeah, it's not a problem. You will attract bigger fish on bigger plastics, but there's been times when they don't work, and by simply downgrading, you'll eventually get a couple of bites out of them. So it's not always the case. So you just know when you need to keep trialing things different. And but yeah, the big ones, when they need their belly full, they'll certainly slurp down those big paddle tails.
Hey Anthony, it is next Saturday.
Oh, next Saturday, is it? Yeah.
The Cairns Area Fish Stocking Group will be holding its last stocking event for 2024. Will be held Saturday, 18th of May at Saltwater Creek, just behind the Cairns PCYC, McNamara Street, Menunda. Will be tagging and releasing 450 barra around 30 centimetres long. Stocking will commence between 1 and 1:30. Usually takes a couple of hours. The community event is sponsored by the Cairns Regional Council, so everyone can come down. They teach safe fish handling practice and how to tag. And
So so we'll be there. Yeah, but if the weather is good, which I don't think it will be, we're behind in quite a few projects and blogs and trialling transducers and all sorts of things. We just can't get the weather to come down under 20 knots. So if the weather's good, I'll be out there, but at this stage it doesn't look real flash for the coming weeks. It's going to be pretty continuous, I would say. So I dare say yes, I'll be at the restocking again.
are you going to do a land-based mud crabbing in the course?
It is. We done it. Filmed it.
The mud crab course is filmed.
Yeah. I know some people might say, oh, dirty old mud crab, throw some meat in the pot, throw it over the side, pick it up later. How good do you want your crabbing to get is the big thing. How to draw them from certain places, the techniques, how to go about that. Some places it's a bit like a coral reef. Crabs will like to hide at certain times in bits and pieces of structure, and you got to identify where they are. Some are mid-river and some are not, and some are on the leeward banks. It's not just gutters and drains, and there's certain things you can do to get the crabs to come to you, and there's a lot in it, and I think 98% of crabbers will get a hell of a lot from it, and
Well, it's a bit like coral trout too. I mean, they can be...
Everyone says, oh yeah, just chuck a bait on, go out the reef, throw a line over the side and go to a bommy and hang on long enough, you'll catch a trout.
We've got lots of other...
That's, if you can still fish like that, there's no problems. But I don't even fish bommies. I fish away from bommies. The stuff I fish on, if you saw the sounder, you'd probably laugh. But we always catch lots of trout. So there's quite a few tricks there as well. Depends how much you want to upskill your trout fishing. Really, you can sit there all day, and if you fish enough bommies and move around long enough, you might catch half a dozen or something like that. But why not catch half a dozen on your first spot and then get your bag and then go swimming and enjoy other things?
Well, I don't like to eat frozen fish, so we quite often just go, we want a trout for lunch, go and get it.
We only fish for 2 hours each session.
So you don't
these days, mostly.
It's better for sustainability too. You don't have to just smash them when they're on. You can go and get them, the vast majority of the time.
But then again, you've got to look at some people's point of view. When we get trade winds like this, a lot of boaties are not going to get out for months and months and months on end. Yeah. And it's just a bad year. Last year was a very bad year. I think what happens from my experience, what I've noticed over the years is when we get the El Nino weather pattern, which is the opposite to the La Nina, which we're slipping back into, which is quite obvious with the wet. When you get that around the winter periods, you tend to get a lot more breaks in the trades, and the trades are not as strong. But if you've got a neutral year, you still get some pretty good hard trade winds, and if you're in the La Nina throughout the from May to kind of early October, you will get severe trade winds, and that's what we had last year, and this is what we had this year. They did say that we were going back to El Nino. That was true. It only lasted about 2, maybe 3 months. That was in around that November, December, January period when we had all those heat waves. It was just enough to come and bleach the coral a little bit here and there and settle down again. So the coral will recover. It's a natural event. It's been going on since Noah was a little boy. So yeah, what else have we got there? Sorry, I'm a bit cloudy tonight. Honestly, I'm not well. I'm pushing through.
That's all right. Get Off Track said my snapper fishing sucks, and maybe you should look at the finding finger mark course.
Finding finger mark has given southern anglers a whole different way at looking at the way we catch foragers up here. The methods and techniques and everything else that we've developed up here for finger mark. It works well for lots of species. It's a very good generic fishing course for lots of species. So that one will, they're still on special till Tuesday night as well. It's not just Barra Basics.
That and sounder skills too will make you a really amazing. And we've had quite a few people win competitions too.
Yeah. Snapper competition. Yeah. Look at the guys down there at the Little Ships Club and all that.
Money.
They were massive snapper too. 2 years in a row they've won it.
Yeah.
So.
And like best junior angler with his son. Best
Kerry,
angler,
I think it was. Yeah.
And best boat, like massive snapper in the bay. Everyone's like, where did you get those?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very helpful.
Yeah, it'll help you out with the snapper, mate.
Anthony Dillon said, I've been doing very well land-based in cans for mud crabs, better than most people in boats.
Yes.
With land-based, just got to fish the tides.
There is some tricks to land-based too that can help you where boats can't get to. And that's another way of looking at it as well. Certain areas on certain tides where boats can't get to, don't see the traffic as much.
Graham said, yeah, crabbing's tough, especially with populations now catching mud crabs in southeast Queensland. Sometimes has the same odds as gold lotto.
Yeah, well, they are a crustacean, and they're like a prawn, a crayfish and all that. They're all the same. They lay millions of eggs. It doesn't, I mean, they have, a little while back they've reduced the limits down to 7 per person or 14 per boat, which is a bit less than what it used to be. So I think the crabbing, overall has been quite reasonable, and for a lot of people I've been speaking to. And when we made the course, we were just catching them like flies. We went down to Rocky because we wanted to include really large tides as part of it, and because we just don't have those really big tides up here. So we've got to do, the only video we've got to go is, I might do one on the wintertime stuff. We'll be doing that up here around Hinchinbrook, or don't know, we might even do it here yet in Cairns, we'll see. But yeah, I think if you really knew the crabs inside out, you might have a bit more of a chance. It's only going to be a cheap course. It's going to be, we don't know yet, but it's not going to be, super expensive or nothing like that. That's the whole idea, is to make a few cheaper courses as well. Coming up, might do one on grunter even, actually. That's a fish I've had a lot of experience with over the years. Know them inside out, and believe it or not, whiting, because I used to catch them for giant barra bait, and I worked them out more with a cast net than a line. But yeah, it's quite interesting, the things you learn, even if you're not actually using a rod and reel. I have caught them with rod and reels when I was younger and all that, but when you're hunting them down for bait in a hurry, you soon work out what they do in summer, what they do in winter, and the kind of areas they like in summer and the kind of areas they like in winter, and what tide and they're going to be there, and when do they push up, what sort of areas do they push up onto. Things like yabby beds and that. So where you catch your yabbies is where you want to fish. There's a little tip. That's a pretty basic tip really, but yeah, we're going to do some for the kids and things like that as well.
Graham said 100% buying it, your courses are so worth it. That's Graham Bishop. He always watches our videos first when they come onto YouTube.
Thanks, Graham. You're a legend, mate.
And Hayden Neville said, what size line and what type do you recommend for a hand line setup for barra and a setup for fishing large fingermark? I want to get back to my roots and try some handline fishing again. Handline
fishing. I'd done a handline video in the trout course just to show as an example. The rest were done with rod and reel, because we used to fish with handlines a lot years ago. Handlines for barra, yeah, big barra. I'd be a little bit wary. You want to make sure you act like, your hands become the drag then, more or less. So if you're going to go and chase decent sized barra with a hand line, you'd probably use the same size line as what we would normally use as a leader. So that would be probably for live baiting big fish, which might be 70 pound, 80 pound. So that's probably what you're going to need if you're going to try a hand line. and just be prepared with them when they jump, you know, because with a rod and reel it's a lot easier to lower the rod and just crank fast, so if they jump at you, you can stay tight to them. Whereas with a hand line, you know, you could trip over yourself and end up with a big heap of slack line and all that sort of thing. But I take my hat off to you for trying, mate. I've never tried it myself. I've never tried hand lining for barra, but let us know how you go for sure. Yeah, and set up for finger mark. I'm not sure whether you mean hand line as well. I would probably imagine, you know, the same kind of thing, you know, 70-pound hand line or something like that for finger mark. But but if you're rod and reel, it all depends if you're a light beta for them or if you like jigging like I do. Jig sticks, you know, depends on the size of the braid, the rating of your rod that you want to use. Probably a tackle shop would be good, so you can actually go and have a look at some of these rods close hand. I mostly use custom rods these days. Ronnie Farron builds them in Townsville from Salty Dog Custom Rods. But yeah, if you're after an outfit, probably your tackle shop, they can show you a range of different options, and the reels and that as well. Spin and overhead, it depends on, you know, because I'll be more graphite and graphite composites or nanocarbon blanks, that sort of stuff. Once again, that all comes down to your budget too with that kind of gear. Live baiting, you'll want a fiberglass rod for finger mark, probably around about a 10 kilo blank, 8 to 10 kilo blank. Minimum 20-pound line, maybe 25 mono with the, you know, a 60 to 70-pound leader is my best recommendation there.
We have a gear and tackle cheat sheet on our website. If you go to free training and sign up for that, it's got all the rods and reels.
I am going to get that upgraded soon, because sometimes we just can't keep up with it. Yeah. Some things go off the market and all that sort of thing.
So take it in and say I want something equivalent. That's what a lot of people do. They print it out. I'm
going to send it to Pat, my mate in Townsville. He's got a fishing warehouse down there. I might get him to upgrade it for us, because we have a good value for money kind of setup, and then we have top of the range for both people who want something, you know, to suit their price ranges. Oh, excuse me.
But yeah, it's all in the tackle cheat sheet, and also electronics, Ryan's favourite lures, what leader he uses.
Yeah, everything's on there.
Just everything's on there. Some of it though, you know, you can't get because you'll be able to get the equivalent.
Yeah.
What's the best period for the Kennedy River?
Kennedy River, at Princess Charlotte. Well, once again, that entirely depends on how you like to fish, whether you like to lure fish in certain areas, which requires big tides, or if you want to live bait more in the open river, you're going to need the smaller tides. As far as the time of year goes, I would probably say, well, October's definitely for barra. Then you've got closed season, and then back February, March, April, early May will be a very good time. But that also can depend on floods after February as well, during the February to May period, like we're going through at the moment. We've had massive rains this year. Well, that area's had massive rains up there. I'm not quite sure how it's faring. I had some friends go up there a little while ago and they said they got into a few barras. So I don't think it was red hot, but they had a good time, they said, and they did get a number of fish. But yeah, like everything, it comes down to all kinds of scenarios.
How far south can you find finger mark?
How far south? Well, they're quite readily in the Yeppoon, Rockhampton area. They've been caught further south, down as far as Harvey Bay. The anglers don't seem to catch too many in the Harvey Bay area, but I know some spearos down there who spear on some of the wrecks, and on the smaller tides they reckon they quite often see some schools of pretty big ones actually. So I just don't know why they don't seem to I think some of the guys that are catching them down there might be keeping it quiet. That's generally what happens, I think you'll find. So, but probably Harvey Bay will pull them. I think one got caught in the inside Moreton there last year. There was a finger mark caught, but that's, you know, straggler, of course. That would certainly be their southernmost range. But I dare say Harvey Bay might pull up most of the good sized schools.
I think what happens is the snapper take over that niche, because in that area from Yeppoon, Harvey Bay, the finger mark students are catching snapper as bycatch, where they didn't think they would.
Yeah, there's an overlap.
And there's the overlap.
Yeah.
There's
good snapper off Rocky and Yeppoon
yeah.
as well for quite a lot of the winter as well. So, and that's a big overlap there as well. So where the overlap starts, I'm not sure. It might be Mackay, I think, as far as the snapper goes.
But even if you're not sure, do the finding finger mark course, sounding skills too.
Yeah, it'll work for you one way or the other.
You'll either get snapper or finger mark.
Or both.
Or both.
Maxie's caught both in Yeppoon.
Yeah.
Off the
in
same
areas you probably didn't think to look.
Yeah.
Do you still receive a letter if you catch a tagged fish on when and where it's caught?
Pretty sure you do.
Well,
it's part of the cap tag.
Now.
Yeah. I've been out of that scene for a very long time, and I will admit I'm a little bit guilty of not sort of contributing too much to the tagging. In the early days, I did start it, and we didn't have the guns back in those days. You just had like the little implement with the tag slides in. Because back in those days when we were on charter, we didn't get much time to go wreck fishing at all. Because I was always on charter, the fishing was so good back then, especially, that sometimes I had 3 barra on the deck at any one time, and it just became a nightmare. So my tagging lasted about 2 weeks. Because you know, you've got clients that want to get back in the water and you've got to fill this out, you don't want to screw everything up. It just became an absolute, you know, nightmare. So I gave it away. But I have had a lot of clients come out with me over the years who've brought their own tags, which have contributed it. But I've also contributed in a way where a lot of my clients have caught tagged fish and reported them, and you know, a lot of their movements and that have come out of that as a result.
We caught one down when we were doing.
We got one. Yeah, we got one down at Rocky. We only had one few hours to fish down there on the last day before we left. So we went down the Fitzroy, and it was massive tides, and got a few bites and managed one. How big was it? 80s?
82?
Something like that.
Well, there was a mix-up because it was a double-tagged fish.
We had the tag. The tag number came back as a fish that was tagged in the Wenlock River up at north of Weeper there, and everyone's going, wow, that's a pretty big swim. Tagged at 46 centimetres and end up in the Fitzroy at 84 or whatever it was, 83. And turns out that on the rare occasion, somehow the 2 tag numbers were the same. So eventually we were notified that the fish actually came from Raglan Creek, which is the upper reaches of the Casuarina region in Port Alma, and that's why that's where it came from. So yeah, we created a bit of a stir there for a bit, but we soon updated it once we realised that it was a double tag fish. And that's the mistakes that could be made, and that's why with the charter fishing on the early days, when you got 3 fish flapping and you got people grabbing live prawns and throwing back in the water, it's what do you do, you know? It's it just became very hard, and I imagine I would have made a lot of mistakes if I tried to keep going with it. So mistakes can easily happen. Yeah.
Anthony's Dylan suggested a cheap course about finding squid. We've got that in locating liveys.
That's part of locating liveys, yeah.
And locating liveys is also on sale at the moment.
Well, they all still are. We left the card open for the entire week.
And has been getting rave reviews.
Yep.
So we cover mullet, herring, squid, offshore pelagics.
Jigs.
all sorts of places where, because when Ryan went on charter, he had to catch live bait every morning, and he had to do it depending on no matter which wind direction, which tide, and you get to know how to get them, especially on high tide, which can be quite difficult, and we teach it all in the course.
And we teach you how to follow offshore bait schools as well. When the birds are no longer diving and they go down, we teach you where they're going to pop up again. So it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it.
Naomi said, "Hi Ryan, hope you feel better soon, love from Karanda."
Thanks, mate.
And also says, if I was to hire a boat down the Cinca Way on a calm day, what size boat would you recommend to get to the end of the jetty?
On the end of the jetty on a good day, if there's any 4.5 metre boats down that way for hire, I'm really not sure. I'm a bit out of touch with down there now. I don't know what's going on, who's got what, but yeah, I mean, I've seen people out the end of the jetty in 3.6s on a calm day. But yeah, probably I'd go something 4.5 and 5 maybe even. And of course, if it's rough, don't attempt it.
How deep for big nannies? Fishing Freaks has asked.
How deep for big nannies? Well, we've caught them, 8 to 10 kilo fish as shallow as 16 metres, 15 to 16 metres on some of the closer wonky holes. But yeah, all the way out to the shelf, really, and beyond a little bit. So they are a fish that has quite a wide range, really. So
that's going to be our next course, filmed in October.
We're going to do one on the bigger tropical snag. I mean, wonky holes covers a fair bit on the nannies because they're one of the more popular, one of the more common fish on them. But we're going to do red emperor and nannies as well. It's going to be a very reasonably priced course.
If the trade winds stop.
If the trade winds stop, yeah.
Best rig for shallow water nanny guy?
The best rig for shallow water nanny guy? Oh, you could... Well, because even the shallows, like you're talking 15 metres, as far as shallow goes, you're still in a pretty vertical position. So probably I would say stick to a dropper, because your sinker touches the bottom, and because you come tight to it, then your bait is suspended off the main line. You can feel things so much easier. If you try a running rig in that situation, sometimes it'll get a bit tangled on the way down. The bait spins around the sinker and that kind of thing, and you've just got to give it a good lift every now and then on the way down to make sure everything comes untangled. Or you can tie a little bit of a granny knot sort of that far up from the hook, but make sure your sinker's on the hook side of it so that the sinker can't fly up the main line. So that's what...
Is that our blog, Best Fishing Rig for Coral Trout? Is that the same rig?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. We do use that rig for a fair bit for trout.
Because we have got a blog, if you Google Best Fishing Rig for Coral Trout.
Yeah, but as far as nannies go though, yeah, just a dropper is fine. Yeah.
Oh, dropper. Sorry,
Yeah.
I wasn't listening. Well, we've got a blog on how to tie a dropper rig too.
Yeah, there's all sorts of blogs on knots and tips.
Actually,
Actually, a lot of them are getting pretty old now. They're like, older cameras and everything like that. We're considering refilming some of those old blogs to give them a bit of a revamp and all that.
But the one blog maybe he could watch is the one on running rigs, because you do explain when you use the dropper and when you use... And you demonstrate it, because most people don't have an understanding of what happens under the water. It's really interesting. That's been one of our most popular blogs, actually.
Yeah.
Do you use squid treks?
Squid treks, that's like a vibe that Nomad have brought out. I don't really use vibes anymore. I'm sure it's a great product. I mostly use sinking stick baits now in the same areas that I'd use a vibe, simply because the action on the fall is so much better. And if the run picks up to the point where it gets pretty strong and I can't use the sinking stick baits anymore, I just change over to slow pitch jigs in the same situation because of their weight, extra weight, and the ability to get down there. But yeah, I'm sure the squid treks are a good product, and I just haven't used them, unfortunately.
fishers, Len has asked,
Yep.
southern fishers heading north that don't have time to search for new ground, what do you recommend?
Southern fishers heading north that don't have time to find new ground.
Yeah, maybe they come up for a week. That's where our courses.
That's where our...
Tell you exactly where to go when.
Yeah, there are some things I can't sort of explain too much because we have some of that in the courses as a bit better information, and I don't want to sort of stand on my students' toes too much. But yeah, mate, let's just say get yourself a good side imager. Yeah, do sonar skills too, and
but the species courses,
they have a lot of that in there too.
Where to
start looking. Yeah.
So you don't have to search.
So you do the species course along with sonar skills too, and everything ties in together.
Yeah. So you just need to choose what fish you want to target: barra, redfin, fingermark.
Yeah. Because I know that can be frustrating. Try and keep away from any GPS lists that you get given, or you might meet up with someone up here. Oh, I've got a list of marks you can try. You know, trust me, there's been 10,000 boats there already. Throw those lists in the bin and find there is lots of new stuff out there. It still exists. Some people go, oh, all the ground's been taken. It's not. I prove it every time I go out.
Yeah, he never fishes the same spot twice.
Oh, sometimes if we're going past somewhere and we need to call in, I'll call in. But I just that's just me. I just love going out for a few hours a day now and see if we can find new ground each time.
Spyro has asked, lure fishing at Burketown end of May, any tips? He's halfway through Sonar Skills 2 and found it very helpful.
In Burketown in end of May, that's getting very close to June. It depends on the first cold snaps, really. We went to Corumba once in early June because we couldn't get up there any earlier. We had things on, and the first cold snap of the year beat us by 2 days. And it changed everything up. It sent all the fish deep. There was no...
They were sticking their tail out.
Sticking their tail out of the water at us.
Touch them with the rod tip, but they wouldn't.
Giving us the bird. And a lot of the fish weren't marking too much in the shallower situations because of the sudden change. So it's just going to depend on the water temperature when you get there, and as to whether you fish shallow or whether you toss it up and try to fish a little bit deeper in the holes. If you're finding them aggregating a bit deeper, you know, change over to plastics and stuff. So yeah, getting towards the end of May is a bit of a dicey, because I'm surprised at how cold those bigger rivers can actually get up there in the Gulf. Yeah, they really drop temperature. You know, I think we had it as cold as like 16 or 15.5 degrees.
We found
it was mad.
Big school of 200 metres and couldn't get one to shoot.
Well, the 2 days before we got there, before the cold snap, it was like 24 and a half, 25, and when we got there it was 16 in 2 days. So I was kind of looking forward to some good shallow diving sessions, but I ended up having to jig deeper waters and put a lot more time in, because that first cold snap of the year too was a real pain in the butt. They can go off for a little bit. As they get used to winter, things change a little bit, but those first cold snaps are difficult periods.
Is there any way, Josh on YouTube has said, is there any way to get bottom hugging barra to eat in winter?
There is one method, but I'm sorry, I can't give that one up.
Basics.
That one's in Barra Basics, yeah, it's all through the webinars. We talk about it a lot too in Barra Basics. So that's one that's a little bit, I can't give up. Sorry, mate. There's just some questions we can't
answer on
the public forum.
And but Barra Basics is under $1,000 at the moment.
At the moment, yeah.
Which has been the third time in 10 years, so it's not a usual occurrence.
Yep.
And there is whole land-based module, whole
advanced module,
advanced modules, dam modules. There's
nighttime,
been so much added to the course.
flats and headlands,
and
rock bars, holes, ledges and snags.
And the private Facebook page, everyone's really helpful in our communities.
There's a lot of advanced stuff too, like current collisions out in the middle of nowhere, like stuff that you just drive through with your boat, not even think twice, and catching big barra off the surface in 10 metres of water. That's, you know, current collisions and that sort of stuff.
And the private study group, so many people talk about where they've been, where they're going, how they fitted in the framework. It's a very...
There's certain things that big schools of mullet do on the flats at times too that attract barra and other species. That's in the advanced videos too.
So you can, if you're going to King Ash Bay or something, you just search King Ash Bay, and guys that have been up there, they, you know, they draw little diagrams. It's really helpful. It's not like a normal fishing where everyone's a bit secret squirrel. It's very sharing, and it's been just such a wonderful community. All our courses are, but Barra Basics being the first one, has the biggest, most interactive group.
Yeah, I'd like to go back and change some of those videos now that we've got drones and stuff at some stage, but I don't know if it's going to happen anytime soon. But I just haven't been barra fishing much either, but I do want to get back and do a lot more of it. I want to do some more mud crabbing too.
Yeah, you enjoyed it, didn't you?
Yeah, it was good to go. I used to do it all the time. I was a fanatic, but yeah, I sort of, as the charters sort of got in the road, I just didn't sort of stop doing it really. But you don't forget those sort of tricks that you learn, and how to get crabs to come out of certain areas and put your pots in the right places. I mean, you can put your pot, you know, on the wrong side of something and not get any crabs, but the pot that's on the other side, you can fill it up. So, all right, what else we got?
Any trips coming up in mood swings? That's from Jack.
Not sure, mate. This is a work year for us, so there won't be. We still got some blogs to come yet from our trip down to Yeppoon and Port Clinton and all that last year. On our way back, we've done a little bit of fishing at the Percy's. Got a few fish in. Got a few fish past the sharks. And
well, she's got to come out of the water because we put a brand new anti-foul system on it at a cost of $20,000.
And we picked up a heap of barnacles.
And the bottom of it looks like the black pearl 6 months later. So
it's a bit of a mystery.
No one wants to take ownership of that. But it's got to come out of the water and that's got to be resolved. So that's happening in June. So
yeah.
And whenever it comes out of the water, it comes out of the water to do one thing, and you end up finding many other things. So past experience indicates that
we might get away in November, do our usual trip north. That's the plan at this stage.
Thoughts on Livescope?
Thoughts on Livescope?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a great tool. It's I like I say, because I haven't been doing much barra fishing. I've been too busy doing other things. I haven't sort of had that much of a play with it in recent times. But when it first came out and we were beta testers for it and all that, it was great. You know, you could see how fish reacted to different lures and when you were getting a follow and all that sort of thing. It's a very observational tool. But these days there's a lot of some people out there absolutely hate it. I think there's even a Facebook page devoting to hating it. Yeah, I think a lot of people are not happy that some people can use it in tournaments and other people just don't have it in that same tournament. What the answer is there, I'm really not sure. Possibly have Livescope only tournaments and have tournaments where no one can use Livescope. I really don't know. You kind of, whichever way you go, I don't know, there's always going to be someone with an opinion that's not going to like it one way or the other. So some people see it as cheating, but yeah, a lot of guys are using it, and like I say, it is a great tool. And there's a deep water version out too, which I've been wanting to get out and do a blog on it. It's not the sort of thing where you can follow a fish around in the shallows and cast at it continuously. This is for like deep water, and the only thing what it does show you, it shows you where schools of fish can move around the spot where you are, so you know that they've moved off you, so you know you can jog over a bit further on your electric or whatever and start fishing on them again. That's the beauty of the deep water one. It's not like you can follow them around a creek and constantly and put a plastic on their nose. So that's the LVS 62, that one from Garmin. We'll be doing a blog on that, as well as the PS 70. We managed to get out for an hour or two after we installed it down in Kabul. That was about a month ago. That was the last bit of good weather, and that was like one day between the blows. And we managed to get out that afternoon. We would have gone out the next day and spent a lot more time playing with it. Trouble is, we had a 30 knot change come through that night, so that's why we only had an hour that afternoon to race out to the reef and have a play. It was great. It's a very good piece of equipment, and the best thing about it is when you compare it to deep water side imaging, what it does. So deep water side imaging, you can no longer see, like the shallow water, you'll still see the primary fish marking and the shadow. But once you get out to the deeper aspect, that same big metre long fish that you saw in the shallows on the higher frequency stuff, out there on a deeper scale, it's just hidden in part of the background. It's a tiny little dot, and you just can't tell whether it's part of the landscape or what. But the best thing about the deep water side imaging, it shows bommies very well, structure out in the middle of nowhere, and it also gives you textures. Gives you really good textures for like country, like fern and sponge, sea wisps, and all that sort of stuff. The PS70 doesn't quite have that texture ability, but what it does in the 3D aspect, it has meter increments of different colors up into the water column. So if there is anything just above the bottom, it shows up and shows you how high it is off the bottom, how far out it is it to your left, is it to your right, and all that. Your coordinates come up on the screen as well, so it's all interlinked with your GPS. And whereas normally you would have to find that sort of area on your side image, and then you'd have to go and assess it all with 2D to get a really good understanding of what's going on in the area. But this new, the PS70, the deep water 3D, it changes all that up. You can see the fish. It shows you where they are in the water column, how high they are off the bottom in against that background. That's the best part about that. It's makes it a lot easier. But there's always a part. There's always a place for deep water side imaging. Don't get me wrong.
Favourite spot to fish in Townsville?
Favourite spot to fish in Townsville? Well, as far as it'd be what was called Maggie Shoals or Moody Shoals. We found that a very long time ago. A lot of it's green zone now since 2006, but that's offshore. Well, that was like halfway to the reef, Big Red Emperor and stuff, halfway to the reef. Get there in an hour, that sort of thing. But as far as the inshore goes, it's the good old Bowley River. It's an amazing river for giant barramundi, and we've caught many fish there and had some amazing sessions on multiple fish. We're in the 120, lots of big fish too, 120s, 130s. 144 was the biggest we got to the boat. Lost a few bigger down that way. So yeah, it'd have to be the Bowley, I'd say, even though it's so close to Townsville and it's in a lot of people's backyards these days. A lot of suburbs there now. So there's still some good. I've got some mates that fish down there, and they still catch some good fish. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, it's fished out," but you just got to get to know the system and know the movements of the fish and their habits. And once you get a lot down pat, you're right. There's still good fish in there.
Cut them off at the pass.
Yeah, pretty much.
Bouncing back to the Nanny Guy stuff, Anthony Dillon said Nanny Guy in 100 to 150 metres for sure.
Yeah, they go out off the. We'll get them off the shelf here as well.
But he's also got 10 to 15 kilo fish and 10 to 15 metres like
Yeah,
you do.
yeah.
And Corey got a 101 centimetre nanny and 36 metres off a wonky hole at 12.5 kilos.
Yeah, yep.
Kurt's asked the best tide time around the Neeps to fish estuary wrecks in the rocky area.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Yep, tide times around the Neeps to fish estuary wrecks in the rocky area.
Yeah, or fishing any kind of structure, I imagine probably you probably just don't want that run to get excessive. Any time where the run's not excessive around the changes, I guess it's whether it's a wreck or what.
Bob said regarding on-selling of data of the tagging programs has ended a lot of enthusiasm from those who have contributed to the tagging programs in the past. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, like I say, I haven't really been involved with the tagging, so I've reported a lot of tags, recaptured a lot of tags to to do that sort of thing. But I would have loved to have remained active in it years ago, but like I said earlier, just pulling my hair out, just 3 fish flapping on the deck, and you got to get tags in them. You got to write all on the cards. You got water and slime over the cards. Everything's going everywhere. Absolute nightmare. So yeah, it just didn't last long with me, unfortunately. But I have done a lot for tagging in respects of returns.
Kieran has done a Wonky Holes course and wants to know, should he start in Cairns or Port Douglas to start searching?
Well, both centres have got plenty. I think maybe some of the areas that are closest to these centres may see a little bit more activity. So maybe think a little bit further afield or north or south a bit, or maybe further out. I mean, I've got some sitting right here, just straight out the front here off the beach, about 6 miles or whatever. And trouble is, they're honey holes or mine, and they're right in the direct path of a popular route for boaties. So it's just a quick drift with the eyes peeled. And because that's the thing, if someone gets hold of it, that's what we teach people in the course too. Don't give them to your best mate, because if he gives it to somebody, they'll give it to other people, and that's when you can fish them out and find it hard to get the fish to come back and repopulate, because you've always got someone calling in. So the best thing to do with wonkies is get a whole portfolio of them, farm them correctly, and the best thing about them is, especially the shallower ones, that you don't really catch a lot of the fish off them before they go off the bite. Some of the deeper ones further out, you'll get continuous bites off them, but a lot of the shallow ones, they shut down a little bit, so it means you've got to move on and find more. So that's probably the best part about them. They kind of look after themselves in some respects.
And like as soon as you pull up, you throw the jig down and it's just whack, really, isn't it?
Doesn't even get to the bottom.
Yeah, we don't muck around.
No.
Hagar said, why not raffle one of your courses to help a few people doing it tough and to get well, Ryan? We do actually, we do have a masterclass with Ryan that we give away to our community every year.
Yeah.
I think we gave away 2 last year.
I've actually got one of those lads. He wants to go outside and fish on the headlands, but we just haven't had any good weather.
Yeah. So
it was probably good when we were away. It was good when we were away, but now that we've come back, it hasn't stopped blowing. So I've got to if you're watching Trent, I've got to catch up with you.
So join our newsletter. Jump onto the website, join our newsletter, and go in the draw.
Yeah. We've done a lot for, reducing our prices to what we have in this sale, and the one in February, which is our 10th birthday, is pretty insane, really, the price drops. That's what we've done for people who are sitting on the fence or they are doing it tough, and we can only do so much. We've got staff to feed ourselves. We've got so many overheads and costs associated with an online business. We can only do so much. And we are producing some cheaper courses now as well. So that's how we like to think.
Made some longer payment plans.
We have done some longer payment plans for people.
And they're on us, not via zip pay or whatever.
Yeah.
Because they charge you a lot of money and you've got to sign up, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So we are
taking
on that debt, if you like.
We try to keep things realistic, but there's always that borderline.
Yeah, so there are longer payment plans at the moment. 6 months for all of 3 or 6 months.
Yep.
All our courses. Darren said, thoughts on buying a Garmin Striker Vivid SV unit paired with the GT51 solely to get deep water side scan capability of 260 kilohertz. Is the Striker capable of running side scan as well as say EcoMap if no other features are required? I've done sounder skills and currently have a twin HDS Lowrance that came on my boat that I've set up with an MR 275 and mapping that suits my needs for now. So I'm just looking to get the deep water side scanning capability as cheap as possible for my yearly trips up north. The Lowrance 3-in-1 doesn't cut it for me out deep.
No. Top of my head. See, I've never had a Striker. I think they're 500 watts to the side image and down image element. You can go to the...
Do you want me to look it up? Where can I look it up?
There's Garmin Transducer Selection Guide, but it probably won't tell you about the unit. I'm not sure actually. I'd have to sit down for a while and have a look.
I think this gentleman has sent us an email.
Oh, okay. I haven't got to some stuff in the last couple of days.
I did read something.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Just go to your local
Sound
Garmin.
Skills 2, put it in the Sound Skills 2 in a circle.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we'll get to it, and if we don't...
The Strikers are probably the one unit that I haven't really had anything to do with.
Yeah.
I mean, the Eco Maps are definitely better, but and they'll give you the 500. But I'm pretty sure. I think the Strikers are...
Oh, look, someone's popping up.
500.
Oh no, I have to go past a whole heap of questions to get to see that.
Maybe just go and see your local Garmin.
No, he said he's getting contradictory information.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry, mate. If you've sent us an email, I'll actually research it for you and let you know. My apologies the last couple of days.
Well,
we've had a lot going on.
It's got to go into Inner Circle for Ryan to get it.
Well, that's just it too. A lot of those sort of questions we answer in the Inner Circle group, but I'll do my best to help you, mate. I'm pretty sure you can. I'm just... don't want to give you the 100% bum steer on that.
Or everybody else. Len said, hi Ryan, I did Sound Skills 1 and 2 and I learned heaps. Thanks mate, I thought I knew what I was doing until then.
Cheers mate, appreciate that.
How many people say that?
I don't know, yeah.
I thought I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
It's really about pinpoint accuracy of exactly where the fish are, how big they are. People have a broad understanding, but the pinpoint stuff makes all the difference when you're talking about trophy fish and getting to the boat. Are you still going to do a shark group, or is that on the back burner?
We were just talking about that tonight, as well as the positions that are available on the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park LMACs, local marine advisory committees. Now, many years ago I was on one of them, and I've been speaking to other people that have been on those kind of committees, and it just seems like if you're a commercial fisher, if you're a rec fisher, or you're representing charter fisher, it's just more of a formality. If you're a marine research, if you're a traditional owner, or if you're a greenie, they seem to want to listen to you more. So
that's why we sort of have to band.
I'm just telling the truth. I'm just telling the truth.
Well, that's why we have to sort of band together.
Yeah, and actually
the commercial fishermen too, because you know in the past it was always commercial versus recs competing for the same resource. Well, they've basically eradicated the commercial guys, and I'll tell you what, I have a funny feeling that the writing's on the wall
for us. That's why I've been getting very political at times.
Yeah.
And some people don't like me getting political.
You never were in the past.
I never were in the past. But it's like 2 and 2's adding up to 4, trust me. It's very frustrating. I really want to get political, but some people don't like me being political on a fishing page.
Well, that's they can scroll past.
So I'm not going to join. I'm not even going to apply for this LMAC position because honestly, I've got enough grey hairs at the age of 56. I'm full grey, and I'm not going to bang my head against the wall when I've got a busy year making products. So if someone else feels like they could make a difference to that, just research, ring Grumper and ask them where you can apply to there's about 7 or 8 areas from Cape York down as far as Bundaberg for all the different representations. But like I said before, I won't say when they see my application come through, that would be another thing, because they know what I'm like. And I'm really not into beating my head against a brick wall and arguing over the table anymore.
Well, I think it's just an information thing anyway. I it's not an exercise in...
I got no idea how it works these days.
You don't.
Yeah, but if anyone feels like they really want to try and make a difference,
there are some positions available.
LMAX,
yeah.
And as far as the shark thing goes, we haven't made a decision because we're just about entering the trade winds, and honestly, I really don't think many people are going to be getting out. The worst time of year where we see a lot of the sharks trashing everybody is sort of late September onwards through the summer, when we start getting the lighter wind periods and everyone can actually get out there and start catching fish. So I think if I started one right now, it's probably not going to see many entries for some time. Anyway, that's something I'll toss up, because that's like another agenda driven thing that we could be just banging our heads against a brick wall with too, unfortunately. But anyway,
we've just lost connection on Facebook.
We've lost connection on Facebook, have we?
Mark Lane, who I think asked...
You know why? Because I brought up something political.
Oh, come on.
Elbows at it. He's got those new laws in. You can't mention this, you can't mention that. You'll get cancelled. And I was wondering if that's just happened.
Well, how come all 3 didn't go down?
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's just Facebook. Who knows?
Maybe.
We're being silenced.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Well, you know...
That'll be interesting, because this has never happened until we started talking about the sharks and I mentioned the word politics. Let's just see if everything else shuts down. Politics.
Now we're getting paranoid.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we have noticed though,
in this day and
posted
age,
stuff about the blue groper ban and some other things on our page, they don't go anywhere. You have
anything written in the writing now? They go absolutely nowhere.
So nobody's interested in hearing about that stuff, or it's just...
But it turns out lots of people are, but it just doesn't go through the algorithm.
Yeah.
Because...
Well, they're actually changing the... What did we get over our desk today about the... they're making a new bill with regard to firearms, and some of the stuff in there... Oh, look, trying to reconnect.
Oh, is it?
Some of the stuff in
I won't say that word, P-O-L-I-C.
Some of the stuff in there is about monitoring your social media.
They're giving us, and they're only giving firearms owners 2 weeks to answer this.
When a 100-page submission.
And if someone in your family does something wrong, they could come and take your guns because they're part of your family.
Well, I don't know. I did glance at it, but it's 100 pages.
They're making it hard for, our civil liberties are really starting to get pressured.
Well,
anyway,
the thing is,
I said I wasn't going to get political.
The road to hell is paved with good intentions. A lot of these things have really good ideas, but then they have far-reaching implications that end up getting utilised down the track, which is a bit wrong.
Very wrong.
Mark Lane said, "Do we have a private forum and for subscribers in each of our courses?"
Each of our courses have a private study group, a Facebook.
So Sound Skills 1.
Sound Skills 1 doesn't. That's just a...
The $20 one we can't provide.
No.
$20.
No.
But
all the others do, and we have our email list where you get our blogs.
Yeah. But to talk to Ryan on a on a daily basis, basically.
You've got to go into the study groups.
We have study groups for every one of our courses, so that all your questions will be answered. Brandon, have you ever used a Simrad EVSS NSS16?
Never used Simrad, but all the principles apply like all the other brands. It's just some different names for different functions, and that's about it, mate. But no, I've never used the Simrad brand.
Darren Morrill said it's 500 watts. He might have been bouncing back about the strike.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was pretty sure it is 500 watts, but because I've never used a striker. I've always used mainly 84 series and some of the eco maps. So I just haven't used them. I know that striker is a very good little unit. I know they're a great unit. A lot of people love them, and they are the cheaper option. Yeah, I just didn't want to give you a bum steer, mate, without making sure first.
Oh, still on that topic, Bowden Snell said, I'm in the same boat, sort of kind of. My HDS Carbon 9-inch 3-in-1 Lawrence, trying to make the system sort itself out for 3D imaging and side scan.
Yeah,
so he might have
3D. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know if everyone's got the 3D yet, but we're talking about it's a power to frequency ratio. Having the best thing about with Garmin having 500 watts to the element, the side imaging elements, is you can push that 500 to a low frequency and see a long way. If you only had 350 watts instead of 500, you've still got a good frequency for seeing in deep water, but you're just not going to get the depth or coverage you would with 500 watts. So the frequency governs how far the sound waves are going to travel, even though they won't be as clear as a high frequency. And the stronger the power it directs to that frequency, the further it will see. So that's why the GT56 has been the upgraded transducer from the GT54. The GT54 had a high frequency at 350 watts for the side imaging elements. Now the 56, the same high frequencies, have got 500 watts, and that's why they're seeing further on those ultra high definition frequencies. I hope people understand that.
By all of that, right? In Sound Skills 2, we have a cheat sheet.
Yeah.
Which
explains it all.
Shows you exactly what to use when.
Yeah.
And it took.
And that's the thing too. A lot of people.
4 months of.
It's good these people asking these questions simply because so many people go and buy the incorrect unit.
The incorrect transducer.
And sorry, you got to put up with me tonight. I'm a bit under the weather. That's the problem. And how many people said to us, "Oh God, I wish I'd done your course before I bought my unit."
I bought my unit.
So yeah.
Bob Rowe, would you like Adam Brandt's phone number? Oh, that might be in relation to the tag. No?
Adam Brandt, isn't he the Greens senator?
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know what Bob's saying there. I don't know.
Yeah, flick it through.
Flick it through if you got it.
Tell us who he is first. I don't know. Sorry.
Adam Brandt, I'm sure he's the Greens bloody leader.
Oh,
unless it's someone else.
It's just trying to reconnect. I don't know. What's wrong? We've got the fastest internet here. Hagar, talking about the raffle. He said, awesome to hear. I know you guys go above and beyond with your courses, and your courses are second to none. I've done Sound Skills. Apologies, I meant more from a business model. I see companies raffling off their products once a year, and it's a huge win for the recipients as well. Oh,
we have done a couple of, we have given away courses in the past.
Yeah,
yeah,
years ago we did. But that is actually a good idea. You know how the people give away a, four-wheel drive. And we've got to pay to well, we did some raffles, but we gave the money to charity.
We raised $50,000 for cancer once, and we also raised a shitload of money for motor neurone with ET and Greenie, the late Greenie.
So we have done raffles, but we've given all the money to charity.
Charity, yeah.
But yeah, we could keep the money.
Oh look, no, it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
It's just how we roll. You got to think of other people.
Yeah. Leader of the Greens.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can.
Don't give me his number, mate, because I might be tempted to ring it. Give him some old school bloody attention.
No, maybe you just talk to him and say, "Here, look at all these endangered sharks."
I don't want to even talk about sharks anymore tonight.
Look at this beautiful reef. Where's all this bleaching? We can't find it.
I mean, there is a bit. Yes, we did get a bit of coral bleaching.
Yeah.
But they make it sound like the reef is going to die next week totally and never come back. Yeah. There's been core drilling for 400 down through some of those big bommies, 400 years they've gone back to, and they found bleaching all the way. And their big harp on lately is the fact that there's been 5 times since 2016. Now we've had stunning coral up there since 2019 to this year. So where did all those other ones happen, or where did they happen?
Yeah.
You know, you just
We
can't
haven't seen
believe.
any. We know that it was a
26
big event in 2016, but we haven't seen any events after that.
No.
Since that.
2018 there was supposed to have been some here and there. It depends. See what happened this year with the bleaching, and every other year that you get it. We have we're talking about it before. The El Nino is a warm water ocean current. It comes down across the top of the Pacific, down past New Guinea, across past our waters. It brings hot water, warmer than usual. And then it's also associated with heat waves coming off the land. We all know what it was like in December this year. In January we had some really, that's when we were filming the trout course. The generator didn't stop for 2 weeks. It just had the aircon running. It was intense heat. And then we had the really low tides that are associated with summer as well. And we had lots of freshwater inundation. That's why the only bleaching we did find was directly off Cooktown, and that coral was actually covered in the red silt that comes out of the Endeavour River. Further north than that, even after the heat waves, the coral was still stunning. Even if little patches have turned since we were up there, it's going to come back just like it does every other time. They've only been studying coral too, by the way, for 39 years. And that's how long I've been diving and fishing the reef, 41 years, diving and snorkeling, including aquarium collecting. I do know a fair bit about coral and aquarium fish as well. I'm not just a fisherman. So, and I've studied all these things in the past myself. So it's not like I don't know what I'm talking about. So yeah, coral bleaching is a natural event, and the coral comes back. Because how can it be as stunning as what it has been? It's the best I've ever. There wouldn't be anywhere in the world that comes close. It's just amazing.
How come the further north you go, the better the coral gets if it's about heat?
About heat, yeah, I know. Anyway, what's happened down south on Lady Musgrave and that, it could have something to do with I don't know. But anyway, it's not mass bleaching. The whole reef hasn't died.
Well,
even though
it has in the last 6 weeks. Or we'll go out, we'll check it out.
The problem is when they harp on about it, it attracts the attention of UNESCO, and they go, "Oh, you're not looking after your reef. Right, we're going to put it on the endangered list if you don't do this, this, and this, and this."
Yeah, and then other people start getting involved in our reef.
Yeah, isn't it part of the our? Gee, I'm not thinking tonight. Anyway, I'll get back to it.
Do we do a Livescope course? Because that is actually the last question.
Yeah.
And you might want to go to bed.
Yeah. The Livescope course. There is a video on it and in the circle, but I didn't want to add a module to the course on it because I knew that the technology was going to change. So at the time it was the early part of the technology, but now we've got the deep water one that's come out as well. So it is my intention to add a module to Sound and Skills too. It's not going to cost any.
Maybe it's standalone, or we may add it. We don't know.
Don't know yet.
It may be a mini course.
It may be a mini course, or we might just add it. So yeah, that is the intention at some stage.
Right, that's it.
That's
questions. I don't think I missed anybody.
It's a bit shorter tonight. It usually goes for 2 hours. I was going to try and keep it to about an hour tonight.
Bob said, "I trust the locals always. Environmental, fishing conditions, best restaurants and pubs." Yeah.
Yep. All right. Okay, guys. We're going to sign off.
To
there's a last minute question. Quickly get it in, so I can answer it.
Doesn't look
like it.
Apologies for those on Facebook where it dropped in and out.
Yeah.
We have fibre to the premises here.
It's super fast,
lightning
and
fast.
we have not had it drop out ever.
There's only one 5G here. Oh, look, it's not on Wi-Fi. My phone's not on Wi-Fi.
Your phone has been playing up lately.
I know. Edward said, "When will you do a billfish pelagic course?"
We've only had minimal requests for that. So that's probably something that's going to be last. I really want to get out a little bit of bread and butter stuff first.
We want to do a
Emperors.
boat course too.
A lot of people have asked us to do weather and boating and how I plan my anchorages and movements around long parts of the coastline, and also day-to-day stuff in rough weather. How how different hulls handle different waves differently. And
well, there's been lots of people die in the last 2 years. There's been quite a few accidents.
Yeah.
So it would be good to have something in
well, a lot of
nice-
people getting into boating, and it's easy to get a boat license, but it doesn't mean you absolutely know everything about.
Boat license doesn't teach you anything.
That's what I mean. Doesn't kind of teach you what to do when the shit hits the fan, basically.
Mungo said, when will the wind stop?
Well, if it's anything like last year, and it's shaping up to be probably worse at this particular period since we got back from Lizard, there has been very few breaks, and then just recently in the last month, none whatsoever. And at the moment, there's 3 or 4 giant highs all the way across, all lining up from South Africa, are all coming across. And if the La Nina is back strong, it's going to create a lot of east coast lows off Sydney. I did talk about this quickly early on tonight, so some people might not have been in. And what that does, it holds up the progression of the highs. They can't keep sweeping away to New Zealand in a hurry, but they will creep around the top and keep ridging from that central Queensland right up to Torres Strait. And that's where we up here. The further you are away from the centre of the highs, the worse the trade winds. So fingers crossed. Try not to keep the doom and gloom into it too much, but let's just cross our fingers and hopefully that we'll have a better year.
David said, can I ask about Grunter? Any chance of a course or overlap with Fingermark?
There is some overlaps with Fingermark, definitely, yeah. But there's a couple other bits and pieces and areas that they inhabit that some foragers don't. So that's probably the big takeaway from that.
Well, it's like Barren Threadies, isn't it? Like when you go fishing for
There's a bit of crossover in some places.
One little bit of crossover, but if
Two.
But you generally, if you go fishing for Fingermark, we don't catch grunner. And if you go fishing for grunner...
Occasionally you'll get one in amongst them, but...
Andrew said, one more story please. Got a fishing story to tell anyone?
Oh, fishing
and
story.
Bob said, Bundy will fix it.
Yep.
Best tips for catching nanny guy on jigs?
Buy levitators.
Buy a levitator.
Try and keep your jigs down in size. Like I really like to use 80 a lot of the time, and I like to use it a lot deeper than what most people will use it. Some people will swap over to 120 out deeper, but if the current's allowing you to at the time, I always still use the smaller jigs as deep as I can possibly fish them. But that's something that other people seem to change over to a bigger jig to get, I don't know, to get down a bit quicker. I mean, you'll still get the bites, but I just believe that the accuracy is a bit better on a smaller jig.
One more, last one. Would the GT52 find wonky holes inshore on side scan?
The GT52, yeah, under about 28 metres on 455, you will, yeah.
Alright. That's it.
30 metres. Alright guys, thanks for joining in. Thanks for putting up with me. I was going to cancel tonight, but couldn't do it to you.
And courses on sale. There are discounts with multiple bundles.
Yeah.
And if you buy more than one.
Tuesday night we've left it open till for our stragglers.
Yeah, but $600,000 if you've been thinking about getting.
And they're not going down to these prices again.
So take a look.
Yeah.
If you're keen on jumping in.
That's it. Alright guys, thank you so much for joining in.
And apologies to the people of Facebook that keep
sorry to
out.
Facebook, it keeps dropping out. It's probably Karen's phone.
Well, it's not on Wi-Fi. It's on 5G. I don't know how it's not connected to our Wi-Fi. Honestly, we just
Technology sucks sometimes.
technologically unadvanced.
Especially no one realises the technology involved in running an online business.
No.
You know, it just does my head in. Absolutely does my head in.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's life.
That's what we got, these wonderful young people to help us. Andrew said, one more story again.
One more story. Got on the piss with the King and Queen of Sweden for 7 days once.
Yeah.
Absolutely party animals, great people. Had a great time with them, and he used to drink Glenmorangie, and he used to bring it out and put one in front of me on the rocks, and I couldn't drink spirit straight
King
or scotch.
Gustav?
Gustav and Sylvia, yeah.
And the Secret Service.
Yeah, and I poured Coke in his thing, and he loved it, and he was drinking Glenmorangie and Coke after that. So there's a fishing story.
Friend.
Yeah. My Australian friend, you will drink with me. Warring marlin. Off me chops. No, wasn't that bad. Anyway, we had a great time with them, lovely people.
Alright.
Alright, thanks guys. And we'll catch up with you in another live down the track sometime.
Yeah. Or in the study groups.
Or in the study groups too. Those who are in our groups, yeah. See you guys.